But these are stressful times, and it's important to also practice good self-care. It's normal to feel overwhelmed, anxious, or afraid, but there is hope. Reach out to someone, connect with your friends, stay in touch with your community, and know that you are not alone.
This is Mondo Bancaro from Mondo's World. We will be discussing some interesting subjects. Sometimes I might even have some guests. So please listen to my show on Rainier Avenue Radio.
This is Big Poppy, host of Jazz from the Cabinets. Join me each week for a listening tour of the first century of jazz, an eclectic mix of Dixieland, big band, cool jazz, bebop, contemporary jazz, world jazz, all jazz in all forms. That's Jazz from the Cabinets with Big Poppy on Rainier Avenue Radio, streaming worldwide on RainierAvenueRadio.world.
Wash your hands, don't touch your face, wipe things down, clean up your space. When you walk do responsibly. You feel you're getting ill, isolated. You're not alone. Please pick up the phone, call 206-477-3977. King County 206-477-3977. Public Health 206-477-3977. King County 206-477-3977. Public Community Radio Station will provide you with more information. Say Rainier Avenue Radio. Your community radio station will provide you with more information. Rainier Avenue Radio.
You know you can't get enough of Rainier Avenue Radio. .world.
Well, hello, everyone, and thank you for joining another episode of Real Estate and Money. Glad to have you here. My name is Tina Lombard, and I'm with Bank of England Mortgage, coming at you with some very relevant information regarding homes and real estate. So, do we have Violeta on the phone yet, or the call yet, Daniel? If not, let me talk about really quick why she comes on, what we're going to be talking about today. And hey, V, there you are.
Hi.
Look at you.
Look at that mountain.
That's gorgeous.
Sorry. Hold on.
Yeah. That is great. Yeah. It's a moving mountain. Yes.
Rainier. Yep.
Great.
How are you?
Fine. How are you? Just giving out some introductions. Saying hello. Mm-hmm.
Okay, good.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I couldn't figure out how to get my screen thing on. It was weird.
Yeah.
Hello,
so everyone. It was. Okay, great. So, one of the reasons why V has got her wildlife and beautiful mountainous picture in the background is because of our topic today. And our topic today, we're going to be talking about wildlife. Wildlife in your neighborhood, near your home, where you live. I'm not talking about husbands, ex-boyfriends, children, puppies, mother-in-laws. We're not talking about that type of wildlife, okay? Although that goes under a different category. But we're talking about when you buy homes, most definitely right now there are houses being built in areas that were once rural. So areas like, let's say in Seattle, like Enumclaw or Bonnie Lake, or different places by the mountain, Issaquah Highlands. There are some areas there, Snohomish, some areas that once was wildlife not too long ago. 10 years, 15, 20 years ago. And so we have built very rapidly and wildlife is still there. Mm-hmm. So what happens is if you're in the city, you're not going to have the cougars, the mountain lions, the coyotes, the elk. You may not have that happening in your neighborhood in the city. When you start buying outside of the city, when you start buying these rural areas or areas like in Colorado State, Pueblo, Vail, Beaver Creek, just outlining areas, sometimes in Boulder or Arvada, places where there is historically wildlife, and the density of the population isn't so much that the animals can't walk in and still say hello in your neighborhood. So, V's going to she's going to show us some houses that are considered rural in the Washington State area. Yes.
But don't you have pictures that you shared with me last week
of the wild? Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
that was pictures of somebody being hit by elk. So here in Colorado State, and one of the reasons why V is bringing this up, or I brought up to V to have this topic today, is because somebody that's very dear to me actually got hit by an elk while they were driving down kind of a rural area, and the elk actually smashed the whole side of their car. It just jumped out and said, boo. Now, a lot of times these elk and these deer, they don't understand distance and how fast you're driving and how fast you're going to hit them, or, they have no concept of that. And here in Colorado, up there on Highway I-25, going south or north, there's an area right by Happy Canyon exit where quite often, at least 3 times this year, people have been hit by elks. And tragic fatalities have occurred because of that. So that's one of the reasons why we're talking about this. We have got areas, we have areas in Colorado, as in Washington State, where wildlife actually will jump out. You get hit by a deer, or you get hit by an elk. And in a car, that's very lethal.
Yeah.
So
a deer is one thing, but an elk is huge.
It's huge. Yeah. And they can care less. The elk walks away, but some people have been killed. One lady she got hit by an elk on the freeway. She got out of her car dazed because it threw all the cars off the freeway, and then a car hit her. So this is very dangerous. A lot of times this is very privy to Colorado State. There is wildlife. So I know in Washington State, there are deer crossings that we see quite often, and we're lucky if we see a deer. But here you've got wild game. You've got moose, you got deer, you've got elk. So if you're living in these neighborhoods and you're buying houses that are newly developed in these rural areas, sometimes you're going to come into a confrontation with one of these animals. So yeah. So V, did you get any houses to show yet, or?
I do. Do you have those houses, Daniel? I sent to you.
Ooh, nice.
Oh no. No, that was my haunted house series.
Okay.
No, I just sent you one. Look for the one today, but let's talk while he's looking for the one I sent.
Yes. Well, really quick, some of the common things, some of the animals that are out there. I know in Seattle you have raccoons. Raccoons are nobody's pet. So you have raccoons. They'll steal your koi fish in your ponds. They'll go outside. They'll terrorize your animals, but they'll go through your garbage. So raccoons are very evident. In some areas you'll have mountain lions and cougars. So here in Colorado, it's not uncommon for you to be hiking, and then a cougar is present. So there's cougars, there's wolves. They just introduced wolves back into the wild here in Colorado. And then there's bears, black bears and brown bears that usually come around developed areas, and they're looking for garbage cans and so on and so forth. I know where I live by an open strip of land, kind of in the middle of the suburbs, kind of like Federal Way, where there's land and there's houses. And I have coyotes. We have coyotes. And, when it does snow, I look at the snow. You have coyotes, yeah. And in the middle of after it snows, when I wake up in the morning, I see deer tracks everywhere in my yard. And I'm not talking little baby Bambi deers. I'm talking about huge deer. So I don't know if it's deers or elk, but these are things that are quite common. So let me see here. I do have a link there.
Hold on.
Okay.
Keep talking, because I'm trying to send this to Daniel again.
Okay. So there is there's some things that you can or cannot do to avoid animals. Now, some areas like Florida, you've got alligators. Some places like Arizona, you've got scorpions. You've got black widow spiders. A lot of places have snakes. I know we have snakes. I have a big brown snake that was in my yard for a while. I'm talking 6 to 8 feet. I'm not talking some little 8-inch gardener snake. Okay, I'm talking like big snakes. And they go out in the fields and they get the rodent and so on and so forth. So there are deer rats that are out here too. So there are some rats and mice that maybe are cute, blah, blah, blah. And these animals actually get to your home and they can spread diseases. Not only do they eat your food, but they or your dog or your cat's food, they actually do spread pestilence, or they spread diseases. Also here in Colorado, we've got prairie dogs. And the prairie dogs take up large pieces of land right in the middle of the city. It's not so much out in the mountains. They're right in the middle of the city. And prairie dogs carry the bubonic plague. Okay, they're very, very dangerous. They don't really attack or anything, but they're there. And so that's something that you want to stay away with. It's something that you don't want your kids to come and go, oh my gosh, it's a prairie dog, and they run up to it and get bit. We don't want that to happen. So,
so there's a few things you need to do to remember if you come across any issues with wildlife, that you don't keep calling the authorities about sightings when they don't really do anything until something does happen. Right. So, there are black bears in neighborhoods that mess up the garbage cans, and then it's all over if you can't see them. It's just a big mess for you to clean up. And then there's construction happening where maybe you're getting your roof redone, and you didn't know that a family of raccoons got in there, or a mom and dad, and then the mom gives birth in there, and they're sealed up in the attic, and all of a sudden you're hearing ghosts, but they're actually a family of raccoons running around up there.
Yes. And my friend in Kirkland, actually, that happened to their family, and it took them years to get rid of that. I actually have a girlfriend here in Colorado, right in the middle of Aurora, the city of Aurora, and she had an infestation of skunks that actually started living underneath her deck. So there's all types of different things. But so he does have the houses.
I see that. Okay, Daniel, let's roll and see what we've got going on. Here's the first house. This is actually Ames Lake in the Redmond area, and there's at that point. At that lake right there is a huge beaver dam, and that fish is always stocked with, that lake is always stocked with fish. And so the beavers have a heyday, and they build their big dam, and there's people that live on that point right there, but they can't seem to get rid of the beaver. They tear down the dam and it gets rebuilt right away. So that's been an issue over in that area of Redmond. It's east of Redmond. And then we go into Fall City, further east. And it seems to be, the case where you come down from the mountains where all the natural wildlife are. And over here, you see it's a mountain lodge, a log cabin home. It's actually for sale for just over $1 million, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. And 1.6 acres. See all those trees back there? The green metal roof shows you that it's up in the mountains somewhere, or pretty close to. They always have snow there, and if it's got acreage, there's things hiding in those woods: bats, bobcats, cougars, bears, what have you. Pretty exciting. And then next, Daniel. Here's his house in Sammamish. It's the one before that, the page before that, Daniel. Yeah. First of all, the house on the left. It's a house in Sammamish where there are eagles and hawks and owls in the back in the valley. And then there have been packs of coyotes that are screeching in the neighborhood. Sounds like a bunch of kids in the middle of the night screaming and playing and carrying on with each other. And it's in a neighborhood. So wildlife coming into these areas, it happens. And then what's the other one there? Let me take a look real quick. Where is it? And should be falling on my sheet. Then we're looking at Cle Elum. Again, east off of I-90. East, there's another mountain lodge. You see, it looks like a little cabin. And anytime you get 5 acres, you're going to see, and there's a lot of openness to that place. So you're going to see a lot of deer and bear probably, and all kinds of birds of prey are out there. And now the area's all over the place. Even where I live right now, rabbits, all kinds of rabbits. Just they're getting crazy Too many of them. I don't know who eats the rabbits. I know I've seen a coyote walking around in my neighborhood.
Mhm.
So, you people have to remember, keep your cats, if they're birds of prey. There's a neighborhood in Redmond that I was familiar with, and there's a huge eagle's nest way up the very top, and it toppled down one day because of a huge windstorm that we had, and there were collars in there from all the little critters, the little dogs, the little cats that the birds brought up there for food.
Wow.
So be careful, Daniel. Keep your cat inside if you've got lots of wildlife in the area. I don't know. And then way over to the west by the ocean, you've got like Shelton, and there are river otters. The wildlife out there are a little different, and a lot of fish. And space like this, again, 1.25 acres, you're going to see a lot of other things wandering around. And you can sit there on your porch and watch the wildlife walk through. Do not bring your gun out there. It's not legal to be shooting at the wildlife right now. And then in Forks, way over by the ocean, in the peninsula, the Olympic Peninsula, yes, near La Push and Moore Beach. There's also riverfront homes in Forks, and here's one for $575, and it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home. And then behind this complex, sometimes you see these sprawling cottages and workshops and garages and boat shops, that people put together, all these little outbuildings. So they have their own little complex in their acreage, so they can have access to the wildlife. And if they're hunters, fishermen have their boats out there. But a lot of homes that are available. Let me know if you're interested in either the mountains, the rivers, the ocean. In Washington State, we have everything.
Right.
We have snakes, like Tina was talking about, but every year you'll see these rabbits.
Yes, that's true. I even count them as wildlife because they run, but good fertilizers. But yes. So what V was trying to show you here, there are some beautiful homes and a lot of beautiful reasons to go out there in the more rural areas, like the mountains. A lot of my friends here want to live in the mountains, and that's very, very nice. And so you can buy these houses. A lot of times they're at a lot better price, and for health reasons and everything else, privacy, these houses are very attractive. So what we're trying to do today is attempt to give you some of the safety issues that may involve that, and show you how you can overcome that. So Daniel, can you show us the first link that I pulled up? And this is going to show you exactly, life with wildlife. And if we'll just scroll down there really quickly, you'll see the fox up there on your roof. And we've got fox around here. We have a lot of fox around here.
Wow.
Wildlife habitat. If you scroll down just a little bit, you've got the wild animals. You've got the deer. The deer, and they come around. They eat your what is it called? They eat your roses, and they get into your garden. So sometimes they can be pests. And then, of course, the classic raccoon. The raccoon is always a lot smarter than most of the other animals. They know how to get to different things. And if you scroll down a little bit more, you'll see the black bear or the brown bear. Now, although these animals look very, very cute, thank you for showing that. They look very, very cute. They're not, unless your name is Snow White, you should not go up and attempt to pet them or befriend them. It is very dangerous. So let's go ahead and look at the second link real quick there, Daniel. And this second link is going to talk a little bit more about what you can do, tips for human interaction with wildlife. First of all, wild animals, they're cute and all that good stuff, but they're not our friends. Okay, they're not something that you don't want to treat them like your friends. So don't walk up to them, even if they're in urban areas and you figure, well, they live around people, so they need to be used to us. They're not used to you. So don't go to be your friends. Don't try to pet them. Don't try to befriend them and feed them. Because if there's one fox that you feed, pretty soon you're going to have 5 foxes, and it's going to be a health issue. And it says here, if you do live in those rural areas, don't let your small children go outside unattended by themselves. Don't do that. Even here in Colorado, the hawks look for the prairie dogs. If you have a miniature dog, there's many stories of hawks coming down and picking them up and taking them off. So don't leave wildlife out on, your domesticated animals out there alone. Here they've got some more information. Do not place your garbage bags on the curb in the morning of pickup. So a lot of times those garbage containers can attract a lot of different wildlife: bears, deer, raccoons, rats, mice. So you want to make sure that you have them animal proof and secure, and make sure that you don't put them out all day so that everybody can smell the beautiful aroma of the food. So make sure that the garbage containers are sealed tight. Remove a food residue from the grills. A lot of people don't realize that when you do have barbecues, that does attract smells. And sometimes you do leave the resonance of food on the grills. That attracts animals. Secure your mileposts or your bins. Secure, if you have a fence, if you have an opportunity to build a fence also will be very, very good for safety. Lock or remove pet doors. So a lot of times, you've got those varmints or everything else coming right through the raccoons, coming right through the pet door. So that may be safe in some situations in the city. Yeah. If you live in the rural areas, that's how they get in. Okay, so make sure you're aware of that. Cover your roof and dry your vents. Secure basement vents and doors. So here in Colorado, we have a lot of windows in our basements, and that's for safety reasons. But if you don't secure those, animals can get in. Now, if you go down a little bit more, we don't have time to go through all through this. But with animals, you don't want to hunt. You don't want to kill them. You don't want to trap them. Because if you do trap an animal, what are you going to do? If you trap a raccoon, what are you going to do? Okay, what are you going to cook it, eat it? What are you going to do? So a lot of times trapping is not a very, very good idea when it comes to animals, because you're going to have to dispose of it some way or another. There is little or no habitat left to relocate in wildlife. There are a lot of people right now, a lot of these animals, they have nowhere to go. So that's why they're being flushed out. Yeah. And I know the pictures you were talking about, V. Last week it was all over TikTok, but bison and elk and deer were coming into places kind of by Boulder, Colorado. And I'm talking about 20 different deer or game in the front yard. And it was all the way down the streets, all the different animals. So this is something where you don't want to pet them and feed them. You don't want to shoot them either. Okay. So, but be very cognizant of what you can do. So also let's talk about your pets. If you do have a dog, a lot of times people go out to the area, they go to these rural areas and they've got a German Shepherd, they've got a Labrador, a Musk, they have hound dogs and everything else. But a lot of times they can be victimized by wolves, by coyotes. And you don't want them chasing rats or mice or prairie dogs either. So be very aware of your pets, where they are, if they need to be contained in a fence, so on and so forth. And don't leave them outside on their own. Big dogs you don't worry so much about. But like us, we've got a miniature rat fox terrier. And he's small enough to be picked up or thrown aside, But if you do have animals, if you've got cats, that sort of thing, wildlife in a rural area is not something like it is living in the city. So you want to be very, very aware of wildlife and animals. Okay, I think about one more third link here that we can pull up. And this right here talks about the deadliest wildlife invaders. Okay, and this is like your house. This is things that usually come to your house. And first of all, they have here is the bear. A bear is not somebody you want to be in a confrontation with. There are stories of bears going into houses, pulling open the refrigerator, literally, and getting what they want while people are in the house. So they're not scared of you. If you go down, it says the eastern diamondback rattlesnake. Now, there's parts of the country, even here in Colorado, where snakes come in. Maybe not. We've got rattlesnakes actually in the outside areas where you hike and everything in Colorado. But sometimes these snakes can get into your house. So you want to make sure that there is no hole or no way they can get into your house whatsoever. If you go down, it says the scorpion. So I know when I visited Colorado, I visited Arizona, they're saying, hey, stuff your shoes and so on and so forth. Make sure your shoes are tightened, because scorpions can get into your shoes and bite you. Mm-hmm. So scorpions are a big thing, believe it or not. Alligator. So there are a lot of different alligators in Louisiana, in Florida, so on and so forth, and they actually will come into your house. These aren't just something that you see, on Wild Planet, television. They actually will come into your house. They'll come into your yard. They'll eat your dog. They'll eat your cat, what have you. So make sure that you're aware of that. Okay, if you go down one more there, we've got the black widow spider. Now, the black widow spider is a thing. So if you see a spider, don't try to pull off its legs, do all that funny stuff. Just get it out of your house. And what I do is I actually have a pest control company that comes out. They spray my house. They spray my deck. They spray my whole yard so that these type of pests don't get into my house or even come into my yard. If you go down, you've got the rabbit bat. Now, we do have bats here in Colorado. I don't know if they have them in Washington, I don't remember, but here in Colorado, there are bats.
Mm-hmm.
So make sure that you hide all your fruit and you just don't have food laying around. Mice infected with hantavirus. So mice may be cute, and there's a song that Michael Jackson did called Ben, but it is not something to mess around with. If you have mice, any type of mice or rat or any type of rodent that comes into your house, you make sure you get rid of that. That is, they may be cute, they may get into your food, but it's not just eating your food. They do carry diseases with them. So you want them out of the house. Make sure that you close up all your openings, make sure all your pet doors are closed, and make sure if there's in different areas like vents or behind the dishwasher machine is where my mice came from. You make sure that is all sealed off and they cannot get into your house. So these are things that are, what is it called? They're popular for rural areas and more areas in suburbia. Maybe not so much in the city areas, but if you do choose to get a house, last thing there, thank you, Daniel, is mold. Mold. When you live in certain areas, sometimes the weather is not as protected as if you're in the city. So mold is something that you really want to attack as soon as it comes into your house. It's not something to mess with. Some of this mold, not only does it smell and blah, 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 it actually is very bad for the lungs. And a lot of times when lenders do loans, if there's black mold at all, we will not do the loan. It is something you have to rip out. You can't just paint over. You got to rip out. You have to renovate. So mold is also a deadliest wildlife type of invader that you want to make sure is out of your house.
I wouldn't have considered it to be that, but
yeah. We got the black bear again. That black bear. I know in Issaquah, there are a lot of black bears.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got my friend Julie. She always has black bears at her house. She's taking pictures of them. They're walking across the street, but it's not something to play with. Don't try to go out there and take a selfie with a bear. It has happened. And it is not safe, And like I said, unless you are named after a Disney character, unless you are Snow White or Aurora, whatever, do not get these pets. Don't think they're going to be friendly because they can be very vicious and very fatal.
So when Tina was talking about protecting your home, one of the things you could do during this time of year to make sure everything is sealed up, walk around the perimeter of your house, take a look at the basement, crawl space area, make sure all those screens are in any openings, seal your basement up so you don't get a lot of infestation coming in, whatever it is, especially snakes.
Oh, especially snakes. And Daniel actually pulled up the last thing. That was the Africanized bee. A lot of people don't realize that out in the woods, there are bees. And these bees are not like the little cute little bumblebee that Winnie the Pooh ran around with. This is actually bees that are killer bees or bees that are very, very dangerous. Oh. So if you live in a rural area, you may come across a beehive or you may come across hives that are built underneath your deck, underneath your roof, so on and so forth, in your shed, but it's not something to mess with. Unless you are a honey beekeeper and you know how to contain those honeybees, that is something that you don't want to mess around with because if somebody's allergic, so on and so forth, you're going to be in trouble. So, yes. So anyways, that's it for this week. But if you have any questions about houses in these rural areas, which are very, very attractive and they're luxurious and they're amazing, please give Violeta a call. Please give me a call. I can give you information on rates and payments. And Violeta can actually show you those people, those homes in person. So do not hesitate to call.
All right. Do you have announcements, Tina?
Yes. Rainier Avenue Radio will be broadcasting a doubleheader this Saturday starting at 2 p.m. for the WIAA 3A football state round of 8 games.
Wow.
Garfield at O'Day, and Kennewick at Eastside Catholic at 5 p.m. So you want to turn to that. The WIAA Primetime Weekly is next, and they're going to be discussing the role of the coaches. All right. Yes. There you go. So thank you so much. There you go. WIAA, yes. Primetime Weekly, Washington Interscholastic Activities Association. You want to come right here at Rainier Avenue Radio World. Great.
All right.
So we'll see you next time. Thank you so much for joining us. You'll see us next week. My name is Tina Lombard. I'm with Bank of England Mortgage.
And from Coldwell Banker Danforth, I'm Violeta Strash. Thank you. See you next week.
Time.
Bye-bye.